Hello everybody, welcome. Today we are going to be looking into continuous testing. So these are the topics we are going to be covering today. So continuous testing, we are also going to look at shift left, traditional versus agile testing, testing methods, test driven development on behavioral driven development, and also some tools. So what is continuous testing? So continuous testing is a process of continuously testing throughout the software life cycle. So you need to start testing in the beginning itself in the early stages. And also you need to test often. You have to test when the code is deployed. You have to do, again, you have to do regression testing. And then you have to do smoke testing in the production. And then so that's how you do continuous testing. So you test it throughout the entire software life cycle. So for continuous testing, it's best to automate. So when you automate, you can achieve continuous testing. So who all should be involved in this is everybody actually, a developer, DevOps people, QA, the management, the operational system, everybody has to be involved in this process. So, and also QA cannot be separate from the team. QA has to be integrated as part of the team, and they need to work side by side with the development team, and they have to work side by side with the BAs. So how to implement continuous testing is, like I told you, you have to be able to automate. Your test scripts should be automated. And then a pipeline orchestration should integrate your automation suite into every environment. And so how you do this is you first try to automate your test scripts, and then you try to execute it against each of these environments. You hook it up against Jenkins. So, and then what happens is when the code, when the developer deploys the code, it will automatically pick up your test suite, and it would run it and generate a report. So that way you will know exactly how it, whether a test passed or failed because of the report which it will generate. Also, one more thing is for continuous testing, you need to do more unit testing. So that can be incorporated as part of your code itself. And also, good idea is to do a code coverage report. So that way you know how much of your code is covered by this testing process. And also you need to do performance testing, smoke testing, security testing, and all of those things can be there as part of the cycle. So why do we have to do continuous testing is a process of uncovering and fixing unexpected behavior in any of these cycle. So any place within the software cycle, unexpected behavior or error code occur, and we need to uncover that. So what is shift left? So let's look into what is shift left. Um, Sorry. So let's look into what is shift left. So shift left is a process where you need to actually start testing very early in the cycle. So the QA, see, one of the slides we said that the QA has to be integrated. I mean, they have to be integrated as part of the team, and also they need to work with the BA. So what happens is actually the QA is brought in early in the project itself, and when the BA is actually trying to analyze, they also QA also gets involved. They come to know this entire project, the inputs, outputs, the valid scenario, invalid scenario, things like that, and then they start writing scripts, automation scripts. They start writing. So so that's why it's called shift left, where the QA is not brought in at the end. Rather, the QA is brought in early in the cycle itself. So why do we have to do shift left is in order to uncover all those bugs early in the process itself. Because think about it, if you are going to do your design first and then you are going to hand it over to the developer codes, and then finally they give it to the QA, which is at the very end, then the QA is uncovering bug, and probably it may be ending up in going to production in a week or so. And then again, this whole cycle has to go through. But instead of that, the QA and the BA have to work together. Only then we will be able to identify all of these bugs sooner. And then how to do shift left is you have to start helping out with the unit test. And then you can, if you cannot write unit test in Java code or whatever, then you can at least start reviewing those unit tests. And then you can start very well your automation scripts when the developer starts coding, or even before the developer starts coding, you should be able to ready to start writing your automation scripts. And that's the way you do shift left. So traditionally, you will have a lot of, you will have a small set of unit test, and then you will have a little bit more automation suits, and then you will have a whole lot of manual tests. But then with this agile process, the focus is going to be on a large number of unit tests, and even the QA people should be able to contribute during that stage. They can be able to put a lot of unit tests, and then there are going to be some automation test, and then there is also going to be some very, very small amount of exploratory test, which is the manual testing. It's going to be very, very small percentage. It'll be there. The whole process with Agile is to prevent bugs. So manual into automation, you may want to look at one of my other presentations, which is there in my channel, where I talk in detail about this, how to convert from manual to automation. But this is just a brief overview here for you. If you are still doing manual, and if you're interested in doing continuous testing, then first step for you to do would be to go into automation. And you may want to try to identify your test scripts. You may want to identify your environment. You may want to identify your tools, your dependencies, and all those things. If you have a lot of dependencies, then you may want to try something called service virtualization. That's similar to mock. What that will do is it will, if you put test data in that environment, whatever your expected result, it will actually return back. So not the environment, I mean that process. So you may want to look into service virtualization, but we will do another video on that. But again, you need to identify what will work for you, your test cases, your tool, your environment, and then you have to get started. And then you also have to take some help. And then you can, once you start small, you can keep on adding more and more to it. So these are the two basic types of testing. You have test-driven development, where you add a test, and then you run all your tests against the code you have written so far. Let's say that you have a huge amount of code, and then you have like 10 tests. So then you write your small amount of code, and then you run against these 10 tests. It passes, then you increment your code a little bit more. Then you run against this 10 tests again. If one of them fail, then you have to refactor your code. And then again, you have to add more code and then run against these tests. And then you keep on repeating. That's called test-driven development. Many companies do that. And then this is also very popular. This is called behavioral driven testing, where actually a BA is very much involved in this process. They actually, they know, they have gathered all the requirements. They will start writing the test cases in English like language. They will say, if this is if this is given, then what needs to be done, what would happen, and all those things. The language actually they use is called Cucumber. Automation is done through that, and Gherkin is the language they use. Let's look at the example here. So they have something like this, a feature, a description, scenario, given, when, and then. case, and then it will actually go and find that particular thing. For example, given user is on home page, so it will go and find it in the corresponding code on your right hand side. You can see that at given user is on home page, and it's going to do this piece of code here. So like that, I mean, you have they write gherkin code for the BDD examples. Okay, so this is very popularly used in industry nowadays. And then also there is like if you are using in environment where you do not have many test data, and nowadays there are some tools like this. Actually, this example is from a tool called DevTest. Broadcam is owning that. What they do is they can put they can mask the production copy important data. They would mask it and they would put it in whatever environment you wanted. So that way you will have lots and lots of data available in that environment where you want to actually test. So that's data management, and they are putting it as synthetic data. So if you are short on data in the environment you want, then you may want to look into this. And that concludes our presentation for today. Thank you for watching.